From being publicly made fun of by his teachers, to losing his girlfriend to his own brother, to having his wife cheat on him, Reese may just be the saddest character in Malcolm in the Middle. Throughout the show, Reese is generally depicted as being sort of stupid, for lack of a better term. Not only does he struggle mentally with school and book smarts, but he also seems to struggle socially, as it is constantly mentioned throughout the series that he has no friends and girls are scared of him. Today, we are going to be doing a deep dive into Reese's personal life and discussing why he is the most broken character in the show. Now, when it comes to the Wilkerson family, many fans will claim that Reese is their favorite brother, and for good reason. Him being the dumbest brother comes with some serious laughs. Although he isn't the sharpest tool in the shed, he is shown to be a pretty good chef. However, today I'd like to showcase how he is actually the most unfortunate son of Hal and Lois Wilkerson. Especially towards the end of the original series, Reese gets tremendously screwed over time and time again when it comes to his relationships with his family, friends, and love interests. Let's take it back towards the beginning of the series to Season 2, Episode 22, Mini Bike. In this episode, Reese, Malcolm, and Dewey stumble across a worn-down mini bike as they are walking in their neighborhood. The garbage man is just about to dispose of this mini bike, but ultimately doesn't, as Reese offers to purchase it for $20. Throughout the episode, the boys attempt to fix up the mini bike so they can ride it, all while trying to keep this under wraps so Lois doesn't find out, as we come to learn that she seems to have a personal vendetta towards motorcycles or anything even remotely related. This is a great episode overall, but the one specific part that I want to highlight is a deep conversational moment between Malcolm and Reese. While the two are arguing about the mini bike, Malcolm comes out of nowhere with an extremely low blow to Reese regarding that he doesn't have any friends.
You don't have any friends.
Mom told you you're never allowed to talk about that.
After Malcolm says this, most people would expect Reese to just get mad and punch Malcolm directly in the face as he deserves it. However, to our surprise, Reese doesn't do anything like that. Instead, he suddenly becomes really sad and timid and reminds Malcolm that Lois said he isn't allowed to talk about that. This is huge because it shows that this really affects Reese, and this is clearly something that he's insecure about. Throughout the show, we constantly see Reese being a bully to his classmates, so maybe it was kind of obvious that he doesn't have friends, but here we see another side of Reese. Maybe the reason he lashes out in school so much is due to this deep insecurity about not having any friends. And knowing all of this makes it much harder to watch Season 5, Episode 10, Hot Tub. During this episode, Reese finally makes his first friend. Yes, it took an entire 5 seasons, but Reese does manage to eventually get his first friend. It all starts when Dewey comes home from school one day with a kid named Noah. Noah and Dewey are friends now, to which Lois is absolutely ecstatic. It is also referenced throughout the show that Dewey also has trouble making friends like his brother Reese, which is why she is acting like this. However, I kind of call cap on this because we have seen Dewey make quite a few friends throughout the series, and if nothing else, we've seen him get along and fit in with his classmates. But anyways, as things progress, Noah ends up getting along with Reese pretty well. Throughout the episode, Noah and Reese continue to hang out with each other as they have developed a friendship. It is kind of strange that the kid is much younger than him, but it's still wholesome nonetheless, to finally see Reese hanging out with someone that seems to be enjoying his company. However, don't get too excited because this all turned out to be a sham. Turns out that it was Noah's plan all along to make friends with Dewey, so he could then ghost Dewey and make friends with Reese, so that Reese would beat up a bunch of bullies for him that were giving Noah trouble a week prior. That's right. His first ever friend was just using him to beat people up. Another thing that this show constantly tells us about Reese is that girls are afraid of him and won't go anywhere near him. However, despite all of the odds, Reese does manage to eventually get a girlfriend later in Season 5, Episode 21. This is a huge improvement for Reese based on everything we just discussed, and honestly, these two look great together. For the first time in the show, Reese is finally experiencing a healthy relationship with someone outside of his family. However, However, this doesn't last for more than a couple minutes, as Reese's girlfriend ends up cheating on him with none other than his own brother, Malcolm. Yeah. Just as Reese finally has something good happen to him, Malcolm immediately takes it away in a moment's notice. However, unfortunately for Reese, this is still just the beginning of his trauma, as Reese gets especially screwed over in later seasons of the show. After Malcolm takes Reese's girlfriend, Reese runs away for a few episodes to go join the army, which honestly is super understandable. The next episode we're going to be talking about is Season 7, Episode 8, Army Buddy. This episode takes place one season later, long after Reese returns from the army. We learn that during his time serving, he actually made his first friend, a nice girl with a tomboy personality who isn't afraid to wrestle Reese and goof around with him. This episode is honestly a breath of fresh air, as Reese never has any friends throughout the entire show. However, as this episode progresses, us Reese fans are sternly let down once again. Reese's army buddy ends up falling in love with Lois. Reese's army buddy figures it would be too weird to keep hanging out here with Reese, so she leaves, never to be seen again. So, yeah. Reese just sort of got unlucky here. He finally developed a healthy, friendly relationship with someone only for her to fall in love with his mom. Only one episode later, Season 7, Episode 9, Malcolm defends Reese. Reese is at gunpoint once again by the world around him. This time, it's in class by none other than his very own teacher, Mr. Herkabe. Now, if you don't remember Mr. Herkabe, he was actually Malcolm's teacher in the Krellboyne class earlier in the show. However, during this time of the show, he is actually the history teacher for Reese's class, where Malcolm is also a student, as they are in high school now, and Malcolm is a genius, so even though Reese is older, they are in the same class. Yeah. Although this is supposed to be history class, the brief look we get into this classroom shows anything but. Herkabe seems to take much amusement at making fun of Reese and making his life miserable, as he came up with a game called
What is Dumber Than Reese?
Which essentially consists of Reese being asked history questions to which he obviously gets wrong every time, and instead having a literal squirrel answer the question, simply stating that a tiny squirrel is smarter than Reese. To add insult to injury, after Reese loses the game, he is then forced to do the monkey dance in front of the whole class. Since the entire class starts chanting monkey dance before he even does it, we can tell that this has been an ongoing affair. Now, luckily for Reese, Malcolm does end up coming in to help Reese during this episode. That still doesn't make up for what he did to him in Season 5, but hey, it's a start. It turns out that the whole reason Herkabe is torturing Reese is to get Malcolm's attention, as Malcolm is threatening to come for his academic plaque award that he earned many years ago when he was yet a student. Herkabe essentially threatens Malcolm that he can purposely get a B in his class to not take his award, or he can keep embarrassing Reese till the end of the school year. At first, Malcolm agrees and purposely tanks a test so that Herkabe can keep his stupid award. However, later in the episode, Malcolm finds another path to truly get revenge on Herkabe. He finds out that during Herkabe's school years, he totally ditched out on gym class, which actually makes him ineligible for the reward that he once had. Once the school board finds out about this, they decide to return the award to the student who had it before Herkabe, which ends up being some tiny, brittle old lady, which is just hilarious. Herkabe, however, doesn't plan to take this lying down, so he decides that he is going to start attending gym class to earn his credits so he can reclaim his award. Despite the fact that Herkabe is a teacher and is probably in his mid-40s, the school board is for some reason just okay with this, which is weird, but I'm okay with it as it ends up being a huge dub for Reese. Although Herkabe was able to taunt Reese while in the safety of the classroom, gym class is a different story. Although Reese struggles academically, we know that Reese does not struggle physically at all. We always see him being active. Whether he's doing crazy stunts, beating up nerds, or even wrestling or cheerleading, Reese can be quite the athlete. Therefore, it's finally Reese's turn to school Mr. Herkabe as he smacks him with a bunch of dodgeballs, even forcing him to do the monkey dance. Although we get a small win for Reese, it still only gets much worse from here. Just 2 episodes later, during Season 7, Episode 11, Bride of Ida, Reese gets married. And although that sounds great on paper, this is no ordinary marriage. This is actually an arranged marriage that Ida set up for him. It's obvious from the start that the bride in question doesn't actually have much interest in Reese, but she also just has no say in this for some reason, so Reese and this girl end up getting married. To be fair, this marriage does end up being somewhat functional for a few episodes, and I use that word very loosely as Reese and his wife are living in the garage and their relationship seems to just consist of Reese's wife constantly screaming at him and telling him what to do. In any case, this doesn't last for long, as during the next episode, Season 7, Episode 12, Reese's wife is caught cheating on him with some foreign guy who we were previously told was her cousin. So, yeah. Reese has had 2 significant others so far in this series, and both have cheated on him. Reese cannot and will not catch a break. However, just a few episodes later, during Season 7, Episode 16, Lois Strikes Back, we open the episode with the idea that Reese met another girl who seems to be really into him. We start off the episode with Reese in the kitchen on the phone with a girl. Reese is super excited as he's about to meet this girl for the first time and wants to make a good first impression. However, this moment of happiness is quickly brought to a halt when it is revealed that there is no girl. It was all a big prank that a group of girls from his school played on him. Instead of the girl we were all expecting, what Reese got was a giant pig at his doorstep, surrounded by a group of girls laughing, mocking, and recording him. Obviously, Reese is absolutely heartbroken. The lengths these girls went through to pull this ultimate catfish were insane. In the beginning of the episode, Reese explains that he has been talking to this girl for weeks on end. These girls were so methodical that they staged fake phone calls with Reese just to get close to him. Reese even reveals a photo he had of her. They went through every hoop to make sure that this girl was as realistic as possible, while also making sure that Reese falls head over heels for her. We know throughout the series that Reese really struggles with connecting with other people. He never makes friends, and the only real connection he gets is through his brothers. Forget Reese getting a girlfriend. Even him making a friend is almost unheard of for him. That's why this was such a big deal for Reese. All of that time and effort just to rug pull him at the very last moment. This left Reese utterly speechless as he spends the following week in bed, unable to even speak. Luckily, these girls did end up getting what they deserved as Lois witnessed this all unfold and decided to exact her revenge on each and every girl that did this to him. We even end on a nice Reese and Lois bonding moment as they both work together to prank the main girl that was responsible for this. But, as it stands, throughout the entire original series, Reese never really achieved a functional relationship outside of his family. This is why Reese is ultimately the most broken and saddest character in Malcolm in the Middle. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe so more Malcolm in the Middle videos will appear in your recommended. Also, YouTube thinks you'll enjoy this video here, so I highly suggest going to check it out.